resource person has joined. Good afternoon, Mr. Darshan.
Good afternoon, everyone.
So we have 2 more minutes. It's sharp by 3:30. We'll begin. If you want, you can share your screens. We'll check whether it works.
Yeah, just one moment, please. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's getting loaded.
Yes, sir, it is getting shared. We can be able to see.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Welcome, sir. Good afternoon. I am Director of MBA Department. Welcome to this program.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I have my slideshow on, so I don't really know who's speaking.
No, sir. I just want to say hi. That's all.
Yeah, sure.
Kanimali, we will start the program.
Just a minute, sir. I will start my recording. Just a minute.
Sorry, what do you want?
Yes, sir. We may start.
Yeah, should I go ahead?
No, sir. I'll be giving the welcome address and then I'll hand over the session to you.
Okay, I'd really prefer if you don't just call me my name. Yeah.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. On behalf of Hindustan College of Engineering and Technology and on behalf of the Department of Management Sciences and on behalf of ED Club and on behalf of HICET Business School, I welcome all the members present here today on this Thursday afternoon to this program on Classroom to a Career, right? And on behalf of all the faculty members of the department and NSS program officer and all the members of NSS also, okay, we are not into NSS, right? Okay, tomorrow's program is NSS, right? So we welcome all the members here, and I also welcome our chief guest, Mr. Darshan Chandran, Product Marketing Manager, Whatfix, Bangalore. And we appreciate your time, sir, for giving us this 1 hour valuable time in spite of all the works you have. So we welcome you on behalf of our institution with all the members, right? So I'll just give a very small briefing about before the session starts, before giving the session to our chief guest today. I'll just have 1 or 2 words to interact with all the members here. The point is, now the topic today is classroom to a career, right? Classroom, it's not classroom to a job. The topic is not classroom to a job, classroom to a career, right? And here career means even if you are employed, I think we talk about entrepreneurship, right? Because it's an ED Club program, so we need to connect somewhere with entrepreneurship, right? Even though we are not into going into a separate business, but we can talk about intrapreneurship in this session. And another very important point I would like to share with all the members is that today what happens, join a course, they study and they go for placements. And the placements, there are 10 or 15 companies coming and they go and participate in all companies, right? And whichever companies give the job, they join that company. So this is one major thing that is happening in our college, right? Because we don't have any specific objective of joining this industry, this company, this position. So whatever happens, whoever takes you, people are joining. I think all our student community should have a thinking on these lines. And that's today, I think our chief guest is going to brief on these lines, I hope, that how do we set a career, right? From a classroom to a career, how do we how do we move forward and create our own career? So that is very important. So, so I just want the student community to understand that you have to fix your job, you have to fix your career, and you have to go on that path, right? Just because somebody is calling you and selecting you for an interview, it's not that you should go and join that company, right? So many times. So I hope students will think on these lines, and before going out of this campus, I think they will make things firm and they will have a very stable career when they go out of the college. So with this brief introduction, I also welcome all the faculty members and all the student friends from all other colleges and departments, from other colleges also. And I also welcome our chief guest for giving a valuable time for it, sir. And I'll just give a very brief introduction about chief guest. Right, so our chief guest has 10 years in the industry, and the highs, the lows, the successes earned, the mistakes made, the lessons learned. So all those things are there, right? So here, Darshan Chandran is a product marketing professional with 10 years of experience in various facets of marketing, digital content growth, working with mostly product startups. He's currently with WhatFix, an enterprise software as solution software platform based out of Bangalore. Before WhatFix, he was with Vizuri, a leader in the ad tech industry. So Darshan has an MBA in marketing from Ohio University. He's a native of Ooty, Tamil Nadu. A huge Manchester United and Roger Federer follower, does road trips for. So this is a brief introduction about our chief guest. So now I hand over the session to our chief guest. Session to you. Over to you. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Am I audible? Can everyone hear me?
You're audible. You're audible, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the introduction. It was a lovely introduction. It was pretty extremely valid points that you made about students and placements. And yes, I'm not really busy these days. I have a lot of time at home since we're all working from home. So I'm glad to be here. I'm excited to be doing this. Right. Again, thanks again. My name is Darshan Chandran. Good afternoon, everyone, students, faculty members, anyone kind enough to join today. I hope you're stuck with me for the next 1 hour or so. I hope you've all had your power naps. I'll do my best not to put you back to sleep again. I mean, believe me, I would have preferred another time, not so close to lunch. But yeah, this is what we have and we'll work with that. Right. Now, before we go any further ahead, I really hope all of you I do have to mention this. You don't have me to tell you this, but really, I hope you're all staying indoors. I hope you're all staying safe. I'm sure your parents and elders in the family are vaccinated by now. Do get vaccinated the first chance you get. Please do stay safe. I can relate how difficult it must be staying indoors, not being able to go outside, not being able to go to college, go meet friends and all of that. I mean, I'm significantly older than you, but I can still vividly remember college. I know how difficult it must be, but we're not left with any choice right now. So please do stay indoors as much as you can. Stay safe. Right, now that's about all the advice I'm going to give you today. I promise no more advice. Right, so a little bit about myself, apart from that introduction. I do work for this company called WhatFix. I'm a product marketing manager there. WhatFix is a 7-year-old startup based out of Bangalore. We're about 500 people with other offices in the US, Australia, UK, and some parts of Europe as well. Now, for 10 years, I've worked across various facets of marketing, across different companies in different industries, mostly startups. That's where my sweet spot lies. So that's a very brief professional introduction. And I am from Ooty, Tamil Nadu, pretty close by to Coimbatore. I'm sure most of you have heard of the place. Not exactly Ooty, a smaller town called Kotigiri. It's a part of the Nilgiri district. It's about 70 kilometers from Coimbatore. I am working from home right now. I have been doing that for the past 15 months or so. I live with my family here. Right. So before we get started, I just wanted to give you a quick heads up. If there's any internet trouble while we're going on, if there's a lag, please do let me know. If I get disconnected, please do bear with me. Up here in the hill station, the internet does give trouble sometimes. But if I do get disconnected, just give me a few seconds. Bear with me. I will join right back. Right. Now, coming to the topic, let's dive in. So when a few weeks back, when Vinesh approached me about this, and later when I was speaking to Ms. Kanimuri about this, they said, look, we'd love for you to come talk to our students who are in their first year of their MBA, if I'm right. And they wanted me to talk about something I was specializing in. I
There is a disruption, sir. There is a signal problem.
idea that is helpful for you going forward in your career,
Yes,
I would be very happy.
We had a signal problem now. We could not hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How long did I break off for? I'm sorry.
No, just 1 minute. 1 minute.
Okay. So yeah. So what I was saying was, I did not really come here to give you a lecture on sales and marketing and all of that. I'm sure you're getting tons of that in your classroom every day. What I really wanted to do was talk about my career, my journey through my professional career over the past 10 years. And from that, some learnings that I'm hoping will be helpful for you. At the end of this 1 hour, even if there's one idea or one insight that's going to be useful for you to take forward in your career, I would be very happy. Right. So let's dive in. I quickly want to ask a question. So I'd be really happy if you guys can unmute yourself and just speak up. Dream company that you want to work for? Please don't message on the chat. I'm not able to see that. I'm on slideshow. If someone can just unmute yourself and just speak up. Yeah.
I do, sir.
Yeah. Which company? Would you mind sharing to us?
A garage, sir.
A garage.
Yes, sir.
I mean, is that the name of the company, or is that something you want to start by yourself?
I want to start myself, sir.
Okay, awesome. That was going to be your next question. Okay, coming back to my previous question. Awesome, we'll come to that. Anybody else? Do you have like a company like out there? I mean, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, or even India-based awesome company?
I do have the plan with that also, man.
Okay. Yeah, someone go ahead.
Amazon.
Yeah, we could not hear you. Yeah.
Okay, Amazon. Okay, is there any particular reason you want to join Amazon?
Due to logistics, sir.
Okay, it's because of logistics that you want to join Amazon. Okay, good enough. Okay, all right. In the interest of time, did anybody else speak up? I heard another voice who wanted to share. Okay, how about I just network issues? Give me one moment, please. Yeah. Did anybody else want to share something? A company that you want to work for? Okay. Now, how many of you have a dream to start a company? Someone mentioned garage. Beautiful idea. Very unique idea. Does anybody else have plans or dreams of starting up a company? No? Okay, all right. Let's go ahead. Now, this one I want to talk to you about today. Like I said, I want to talk to you through my story of my career. And from that story, there are a few learnings that I want to share with you. Ms. Kanimuri did mention a lot of you are freshers. So even if some of you have a bit of work experience, some of these things will apply for you. I'm hoping it will apply for you. And then we'll quickly look at some of the options that are out there, right? So you must be aware of a lot of the various industries and companies out there. So I just wanted to bring in an additional perspective there. What are the different types of companies? What are the different types available for you, right? Then finally, we'll look at some ideas on how to choose a company, right? So I'm pretty sure being a fresher, I know the feeling is always, I'll be happy if I get a job. I just want to get started. But still, there can be some level of filter that you can apply before choosing a company. It's not always about just the company choosing you. I firmly believe to a certain extent, the candidate should be able to choose a company as well. So we look at that. And if you have any questions at all, if you have some questions already, or if some questions arise during the presentation, please make a note of them. We'll have enough time at the end. I'd love for you to ask some questions. If I'm able to answer those, I will. The questions which I'm not able to, I will certainly help you find the answers. Right. Can someone please confirm if I'm audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah, thanks for that. Okay, so the curious case of my career. Now, I'm sure a lot of you here have seen the movie The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. It's a lovely movie where Brad Pitt sort of ages in reverse, right? If you've not, you should see the movie, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. My career has nothing to do with that movie. The term just had a ring to it. So, yeah. So my career started off in 2010. I passed out of MBA in 2010. I studied at Christ College, Bangalore. There was a tie-up program. That's where I did my MBA. And before my MBA, I did my graduation in JRD College, Coimbatore. I'm sure all of you know that college, and I know Hindustan College very well as well. I spent 3 years of my time there. So yes, I passed out of my MBA in 2010. And when I passed out, it was the time of recession, right? The Great Recession started off in 2008. Jobs were very difficult to find. The US market went for a toss, and that impacted India as well. We still felt that effect in 2010. It was not easy to find a job that you didn't have many options, right? And the first mistake I made in my career was having the attitude of sales job is not for me. Right? I did my MBA, specialized in marketing. I believed, okay, sales job is just for people who are not able to find any other job, who are not able to find any other specialized job. So there were companies which came up for campus placements with a sales profile for freshers mostly, but I did not take it up. And what I did was I joined this startup. It was a consulting startup. It was called Indigo Edge. It was a mistake that I made not to choose the sales roles. I'll come back to that later. But then I really turned out lucky to be able to join this company. It was a startup. When I say consulting startup, what we did was we helped other people start up businesses. We came up with the market research, the feasibility studies, the competitor analysis, even the business plans, the financial forecasting. So what I got to do here was not just marketing, or not just one aspect of marketing, or not just one aspect of sales. I got to do the entire life cycle of a business. I got exposure to the entire life cycle. Right? That way, I was really fortunate. This was a gold mine of knowledge for me. This company. It was a very small company, some 8 people. 4 of them were from IIM Kolkata, I guess. So they were the founders. Now, so the different kinds of things we did, we help companies start up businesses. I can remember an example, right? There was this one person who wanted to start up a restaurant delivery business in Bangalore. This was before your Swiggies and Zomatos and everything came into the picture, right? There was a guy who wanted to just do delivery of biryani in Bangalore, right? So we did the entire business plan for this person, and one part of it was that we even had to choose the kind of packaging for the food, right? So that exercise was most interesting because every day we would order biryani from different restaurants just to check out the kind of packaging that they offer. So that's the level of depth of the job I got to do in this company. I was 2 years, and my concern there was the money. Obviously, money is an important aspect. Definitely, wise, definitely, but money is also important. That's why you all work for. That's what we all work for, right? So I did switch my company in 2012. Again, the mistake I made there was I chose this company simply for the money. I did not look at what was the kind of job that I was getting into, what was going to be my growth trajectory in that company, what business were they into, would I get to learn anything? I did not look at any of those things. I was really immature. I was in the early stages of my career. I joined this company. Nothing wrong about the company. It was just not the fit for me at that point in time, right? So I joined this company as an assistant marketing manager. I spent a couple of years there, and then what happened was towards the end of 2014, I guess, the company, there was a change in plans. They launched a new product, and they wanted to get into a new market, and they expected me to do a job that was different from what I was hired for, right? They actually I was there in a marketing capacity, but then I was expected to make cold calls to South America late in the night. All of that happened. So I lost interest. I did not fight for it. I did not try to learn sales. I did not do any of that, right? I just gave up. And eventually there was a layoff in that company. About 70 to 80 people were laid off in the same day, and I was one of them. Right, I got fired in 2014. By this time, I was marketing manager, but that designation didn't mean anything. There was a major layoff, and a lot of us lost our jobs that day. It was a very difficult time during my career and personal life as well. And over the next 6 months or so, I did a bit of freelance work for various companies in terms of content writing, digital marketing consulting. I did a bunch of things. I worked from home mostly. I had learned my lesson the hard way. I really wanted to be careful with what I was going to do next, the company I was going to choose next. So I did take my time. So I think I did not have like a full-time job for a good 4 or 5 months. Then came this company called Vizuri. Vizuri is in the ad tech business. So you guys should do a bit of research about ad tech. I don't want to get into the details of it right now. So this was the turning point of my career. I can confidently say that Vizuri was a great place to work for. I did have a wonderful manager to whom I reported. I did have a lot of freedom to experiment, to try out different things. It was a wonderful product. I had a bunch of great colleagues with whom I shared a great relationship. Quickly, I was there for 3 years. So quickly from content marketing manager, I worked really hard there as well. So I grew to director marketing there. Then I was reporting directly to the CEO. His name was Subra Krishnan. he was an excellent mentor as well. So that's another thing I want to sort of throw some light on. Your manager, the person whom you're going to be working for, is very, very important. So as long as this person is not a boss who wants to order you around, as long as they to get the best out of you, you will be in good hands. I can and then came my next decision, right? So it was a good place to be, but what I did was I left there and I joined a friend's startup. So this friend of mine was an ex-colleague from this company, Elusis, where I had worked before. He had started up a company. It was doing well for about 2 years, and he wanted me to join him and sort of take it forward, right? So I did feel like it was a great opportunity because it was as if I was starting it up myself, although it's not exactly that. Still very early company. He had some big plans, and I joined that. Again, did not turn out the way I wanted it to. We were great friends. We were even roommates during our stint in the. But great friends, sometimes you cannot really have a great working relationship. That's what happened with us. I joined WhatFix in 2019. That's where I am right now. I'm working as product marketing manager, even though in terms of designation, if you look at it, director from manager is sort of a step down. But then that was really fine with me. The company was much here, was much so and it's
the voice is breaking, sir. The voice is breaking, sir.
10 years.
Hello.
Okay. Is it better now?
Now it's okay. Now it's okay.
So, like I said, during this 10 year career, I have picked out 10 takeaways that I think can be helpful for someone even who's experienced in the early days of their career, right? The first thing is there is a job out there for everyone. So you do not have to worry about it. In spite of the COVID pandemic, industry is getting affected. I know the hospitality industry and a lot of other industries have been impacted, but there is a job out there for everyone. Do not have to doubt that, right? Number two, not everyone gets their dream job, and that's okay, right? So you might, I don't know, you could have any dream job, but sometimes it doesn't work out, right? But that's completely fine. So as long as you're applying common sense and as long as you're being honest to the job that you're in, and you keep learning as you do your work, you're always going to move forward, and you'll eventually find that job which is the dream job for you. So if you don't get it right now, straight away after college, do not worry at all. Right? Like I am like a living example of that. Number three, the money will come. Right? Always linear. It's not like, for example, let's say you start with, let's just take some number, right? You start with 3 lakhs and the next year it becomes 3.3 lakhs, 10%. The next year it becomes 4 lakhs. The next year it becomes 5 lakhs. So it's not always it's not oversimplified like that. It's not always linear like that. There will be years when you won't see a lot of growth in money, but there will also be years where there will be significant growth. It'll all balance out. So you should know, I'm not saying you should not worry about your money at all. You should know your self-worth when you are negotiating your salary. Don't just say yes to what the company is saying. The company will always have a budget for a role, and they will always start off with a minimum cap for you, right? Because imagine an HR is coming to interview, and if they let's say the HR had a budget of 3 lakhs, right, and applying for a job, the HR of that company had a budget. Their manager said, listen, for this job position, your budget limit is 3 lakhs. Find someone within that 3 lakhs. Do not go beyond that, right? So you've gone through the interview. The HR is telling you, look, right? you don't have to settle for that. So I'm saying you should know your self-worth when you are negotiating for a salary. As long as you are able to justify what you're asking for, your credibility goes up, right? And as you move ahead in your career, the money will definitely come. As long as you're performing well, there might be some years when you would think like you're not being compensated fairly, but there will be other years where all of that will be made up for. So the money will definitely come. That's something I've learned as well. I'm happy with my compensation right now. There were times when I was really not, but currently I think it's fair, and I'm happy with what I'm getting right now. Right. Sales is an extremely important skill, no matter what job you're in. Right. I mean, maybe it will not apply for like a proper investment banker or an accountant. Maybe it would not apply for you guys who are specializing in finance. But in the business functions, right? Sales is an important skill. Even if you're in any other function, being able to sell your idea or being able to sell yourself is a very important skill. And it does not matter what job you're in. So do never underestimate the importance of the sales skill, right? It's really, really important. MS Excel is going to be your best friend, right? So there will be a number of tools that you learn while you move ahead in your career. If you're in analytics, there would be I don't know. There's a bunch of tools people use these days. In sales, there'll be different tools that you use. But any day, however advanced you go ahead in your career, how many ever years that you go ahead, I am pretty sure, or maybe I'm really confident that MS Excel is going to be your best friend. Learn Excel, get comfortable with it. Be open to learning from anyone, right? Anyone. So a lot of us can have that. We tend to have that attitude where only someone who's above us, who a superior of us, will be able to teach something new, right? But that's not true. Your peers, your subordinates, anybody, there can be a lesson from anyone. So be open, be humble about it, be open to learning from anyone. Do not be afraid to ask questions, be it any scenario. When you're given a task, ask questions. What is the bigger picture? What are we trying to achieve? So through this task, what is it going to impact? Right? So who gets affected by this? What are the right? So ask questions. That way, there is no stupid question, right? There is no question that is stupid. If you don't ask questions, then that's the stupid thing to do. Right? Always ask questions. Yeah, and then this is something, again, I've learned the hard way. Try to strike a balance between your spending and your saving, right? So I've been working for 10 years. I think just about now, I think I've learned this lesson. I was always of the philosophy, life is short, have fun today, have a great life. If something is left for tomorrow, we'll see. Tomorrow is a different day, right? But it's not entirely true. It doesn't really work that way. It's always good to just put aside something today, and I promise you will find it useful a few years down the line. There could be any unexpected expense in your life, right? Even if it's a holiday. So it's always nice to just, even if it's a little bit of amount of money every month, just put something away before you start your spending. I never did that. I used to spend all of my money, and I've learned my lesson from that. Right? Then, finally, number 9, your job is not your life. I've seen a lot of people over these 10 years, right? So they work 12, 14 hours a day. They work really hard, and I have no complaints about that. They work really hard. They've grown in their career. But then I've seen, because I'm saying that because I've seen very, very close friends of mine, right? So they lose out on a lot of other things. So work hard, absolutely work hard, but make time for other things. You should travel a lot. You learn a lot of things that way. You should play a sport, go watch a movie. So don't just go on. Don't let work become your life, right? Your job is not really your life. Number 10, sorry, I had only 9. I just had to put a round number for the title. I'm sorry about that. Moving ahead. Some options, right, of careers. This is what I know some of you are looking for. Like I said, there's a job out there for everyone. There's a lot of jobs out there, so do not be worried about that. And I'm sure your placement cell at the college is going to be bringing in excellent companies. You have a great history of that. I'm aware of that. But just let's look at a different perspective, right? Something from my space, something from not really from the enterprise MNC space, but really from the contemporary industry space. That's where I come from. So that's where I'll be able to confidently share my knowledge, right? Okay. Now, 20 years ago, now, top of your mind companies would most probably have been these, right? I'm sure there were other companies. I'm sure there are other companies. But think of any college pass out graduate or an MBA graduate 20 years ago. These companies would have been top of mind, right? Today, these companies are still there, but you also have all of these companies, right? I'm sure most of you are aware most of these companies. If you're not, you should check these companies out. Excellent companies which have grown in the past 5 to 10 years. So this is the kind of options you have right now. This is the kind of variety you have today as opposed to, let's say, 20 years ago, right? So these are some of the industries that have mushroomed over the past 5 to 10 years, right? All of you, every single one of you, I'm sure, is shopping online, right? So there's e-commerce, there's travel booking companies, right? There's Redbus, Yatra, Make My Trip, Go Ibibo. I got even that logo which I put. There's a number of companies in travel. There's a number of companies in delivery. Your Zomatos and your Swiggies. There's Dunzo. There's Uber Eats, and there's then this is a big space right now. I'm sure you've heard of Byju's, and even if not from any other channel, if you've just watched IPL, I'm sure you know of Byju's, Unacademy, Upgrad, Vedantu. So these like huge businesses right now, right? Education technology is like a massive industry in India right now. Byju's is worth billions. The Facebook Foundation has invested so much money, and they've been acquiring so many other companies. EdTech is a huge space in India. And then you have your fintech companies, right? When I say fintech, these are your payment platforms. These are your stockbroking platforms. They're like a huge part of this industry as well. Fintech, and finally, we have your business suites, right? You have your Salesforce, you have your Freshworks, you have your Zoho, you have these companies as well. Like I said, you still have your, the huge FMCG companies, the manufacturing companies, the banking and insurance companies, IT services companies. I'm sure all of these companies are going to come for campus placements as well. But what I want to expose you to is these industries as well, these companies also. Maybe not right away when you pass out of college. Maybe most of these companies are not looking for freshers right away. But as you move ahead, these will be some great options for you. Right? And okay, as you look at companies, so there's a lot of different ways for you to look at companies, right? There is product and service companies, there's companies. I'm sure you guys want to share a few things is about the differences between a startup and a properly established large enterprise, right? For example, a startup could be any of these companies I just mentioned before, right? So a Flipkart is still considered a startup, a Byju's, or even my company, Workups. Even if it's 6-7 year old, they call ourselves startups because the way we work, the way things happen is like that. And you have your large companies, right? For example, SBI Bank, or even Accenture or Infosys, right? So I just want to talk to you about the differences list. It's not
Sir, your voice is not audible.
Someone, can you just, what do you think? What do you think can be the difference between an enterprise and a startup? Anything, like I said, there is just anything that you can think of. I'd be really happy if someone can speak up. I feel like I'm just talking to myself looking at this slideshow. Anybody? What do you think is the difference between working in a startup and working in like 30-year-old, 40-year-old established company, enterprise?
While we are working in the startups, while the company is growing, our growth also get started very easily. While we were working with
Yes.
a very big company, for our growth in the company might get stuck. The classic example is Sundar Pichai as the CEO of Google.
Okay.
The classic example for what I said is the Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google.
Okay. Anybody else? Come on, guys. You should have some. I'm sure you have some kind of opinion. Just blurt it out. It's okay. There's no right or wrong answer here. You must have read about companies in the news or on TV or anywhere else on social media. Yep.
So old companies have a lot of experienced people. So
Okay.
as a junior and as a beginner, we can learn a lot of information from them. Though they dominate us, of course, as a beginner, we can learn a lot of things from them as an experience, and we can go to some other company for much more development.
Okay. Awesome. Good point. Anybody else?
I would go with the enterprise actually, because when you get enrolled into an enterprise, the facilities that they would give us more actually, from the insurance to your for the insurance for your parents, maternity insurance, the security of your job, and the financial stability that we'll be pretty sure that the salary will come at 31st. So I would prefer an enterprise more than a startup.
Okay. Yeah, valid point. I mean, I can. I mean, I'm glad to tell you it's not entirely true. But again, thanks for speaking up. It's good to sort of find out what the pulse is like. Yeah. Anybody else? Come on, guys. It's not like what I'm going to tell you is the correct thing and what you're going to just have my experience. I just want to find out what you guys think before I talk about what I know. Just one more person, anybody, before I go ahead. Okay. All right then. There's a lot of silence. I'm really getting uncomfortable. Okay. Right. So first thing is an enterprise, right? It's a very stable environment. Somebody did say that. Startup can be very, very dynamic, very agile, very volatile at some times, right? So there's this friend of mine who works for Accenture. He's an SAP application specialist. I think his clients are Apple and all of that. So the other day I was asking him how goes work, and he said, "Acha, in the version full Apple project mattumda. Adilzana well senjittirukken." Right? He said the whole year he has that one project which he has to work on. So that's stability for you, right? So he knows what's coming. Their targets and their timelines could be in months or in quarters. So it's very stable. Whereas in a startup, things can change every week, right? So today we might have an objective for this quarter, let's say July, August, September. But in 2 weeks that might change, right? It's not always a good thing. It's not always a bad thing, right? Some people prefer that long-term love. I mean, the long-term objectives. They like to know what they're going to be doing day in and day out. That's absolutely fine. So an enterprise will give you stability, whereas startup, things are always changing, right? Yeah. Then in an enterprise, you have your processes defined for you, whereas in a startup, it's always not always, is mostly experimental. More often than not, is experimental. I'm talking about early stage startups, right? Because I was just hearing myself and it looked like I'm just talking negative about startup. Is not like that way at all. So in enterprise, like someone said, there's different functions. There's every department is broken down into various specialties, and there are specialized people for every function, and there are processes defined for everything, right? But with a startup, it's not like that. So today you do something in some way, tomorrow you're always free to find another way to do it, find a more efficient way to do it. You have that, for the lack of a better word, I would say you have that freedom to experiment, right? So you would make mistakes, but you will learn a lot as well, right? That's the second thing. The third thing is enterprises can be hierarchical at sometimes, right? Startups are very flat organizations. When I say hierarchical, it's because that's how they can scale, right? If a company has 50,000 people, then if you do not have a hierarchy, it's very difficult to manage. So that's why they have hierarchies. In large enterprises, you would have like a definite hierarchy of designation. Even just for the software development position, I think some companies have 1, 2, 3, 4 grades like that. Then comes a team lead, then comes a manager, assistant manager, manager. So there's that hierarchy. With startups, you still have that kind of growth, but the way you interact with people is very, very flat. So I can just straight away walk into my CEO's room. He doesn't even have a room, right? So there are no cubicles, there are no separate rooms for people. So you can just walk up to the CEO and ask about something, ask him, okay, what is the plan for this year? How can I help? That kind of conversation you can straight away have with your CEO. Whereas in an enterprise, you can't exactly do that, right? Yeah, and enterprises, the recognition that you get, when I say recognition, it could be just an award, or it could be financial, monetary recognition as well. That's periodical, right? It could be a quarterly thing, it could be a half-yearly thing, it could be an annual thing. But whereas, and also because there's so many people in the company, it's difficult for management as well to instantly recognize people, right? It's a little different when you come to a startup. Recognition is instant because there are fewer people and you get noticed for what you do, right? So the recognition is instant. Yeah, and someone spoke about choosing an enterprise, right? You are right. The money is stable. There's going to be linear financial growth. It's going to be stable, right? You're not going to get 40, 50% hikes every year. It's going to be 8%, 9%, 10%. They're going to have very rigid performance mechanisms based on ratings and all a bunch of other things, feedback, peer feedback, manager feedback, all of that. You will definitely have growth. It's going to be linear. It's going to be very stable over quite a few number of years, right? Whereas in a startup, it's not always linear, right? Mid-level startups, like for example, my company, they're very financially stable right now. So that's a different story. Early stage startups, right? So your financial growth, 1 year, it might not be there as much as you like it, but whereas there could be years where you can get huge appraisals. So I've experienced that, so I can confidently say that. So these are some of the differences that I've seen in my experience. Again, it's not to say that one is better than the other. These are just the differences. Now, based upon your priorities, you can always choose, right? Could it be an enterprise or could it be a startup? Okay, going ahead. I just want to talk to you about some of the job positions that are available today, because even when I started off, right, 10 years back, some of the job positions that are available today were not available back then, right? So I'm seeing that in so many companies these days. So there are so many different functions. So since I come from marketing, the marketing spectrum, I'm not really in a position to talk about other areas like could be finance, could be product, could be engineering. I'm not in a great position to talk about that. So I just want to focus on these things, right? There's business development, there's sales, there's marketing, there's customer success, and there's operations. These are some of the functional roles which you'll find in any company, right? And just looking at marketing, I just want to spend a few more minutes on marketing alone. There's different things. So like for the outside world, for the people, for the uninitiated, marketing can be a very, very broad term. People categorize advertising as marketing. People categorize sales as marketing, but it's not that. There's so many different things to marketing. Today, marketing has digital marketing, there's content marketing, there's events, right? There's branding, and then there's new phenomenon called growth marketing. So growth marketing, it's not something separate from these things. Growth just means that you can do a lot of experimentation. You can do different things to bring in leads, to grow your brand, to bring in more revenue, to bring in more customers. You can do a lot of experimentations in quick time, right? So that's what most companies define as growth marketing. When it comes to digital and events, I just wanted to break that down just one level deeper. Content, there's a content writer's position, there's designers available. So all of that constitutes content. Branding can be anything. You can do branding in an event, you can do branding through your website, you can do branding on social media. So that's branding for you. I spoke a little bit about growth. Digital, I hear so many people, right? I hear friends, I hear some people come through friends just talking for references and all of that. Everybody talks about digital marketing as if it's just one thing, right? It's again a very broad umbrella, digital marketing. You have SEO, which is search engine optimization. It's all about Google, right? So when someone searches for something using a keyword, your company's website should come in the top 10. And for that, what you do, you optimize your content on your website and any other channel. Could be a blog, could be anything, right? That's SEO, where you don't spend money on ads, but you really try to optimize your content so that your ranking is really good on Google. And then is search engine marketing. This is where you spend money, right? You spend money on Google ads, you spend money on LinkedIn, Facebook, a lot of other platforms where you spend money on ads to attract people to come to your website and buy your product or service, right? That's SEM. Again, SEM, there are specialists. My company, in the digital marketing team, there are 2 people for LinkedIn. There's 1 person for Facebook. There are 2 content writers. There's 3 people in the events team. And there's 4 people in the growth team. So there are different people, there are different specializations. So SEM itself, I have a friend who just handles Facebook alone for an e-commerce company, right? People spend billions of money on Facebook ads. So for each of your social media platforms, there are specialists these days, right? And again, social media, there's Instagram is huge these days. Twitter is big. There's Facebook. My company, WhatFix, I just found out yesterday, on every month, WhatFix spends 1 crore INR on LinkedIn ads alone, right? That's the scale of what we're talking about when it comes to digital marketing. 1 crore INR is how much? I think it's close to $150,000 USD. That's more than $10,000 USD, $10,000 a month, right? And that's on LinkedIn ads alone. So you can imagine. So we are a B2B company, so we don't spend much on Facebook. But there are B2C companies who spend money on Facebook, right? So that's the scale of digital marketing today. Then you have events. You have your field events where you conduct events, physical events. You either organize your own events or you participate in industry conferences. Then you have your virtual conferences. You have your webinars like this. Then there's this new trend of podcasts these days, mostly because people are working remotely. 2 people just get together, they buy off a mic, and just record a conversation and they post it out there. And that becomes good content for people to consume. So that's a very quick and very simplified breakdown of what marketing can constitute for you. Just to bring you more perspective, what I did was the other day I was just looking at the career section of this company called Freshworks, right? This is a Chennai-based company. The CEO, Girish Mathrubootham, he's very famous. So he's a huge Rajnikant fan and all of that. I just wanted to quickly show you the job section of this company, just to give you a sense of what are the different types of functions that are available, departments, and the different jobs that are available, right? There's business operations. There's a lot of engineering roles here. It goes on. There's like 200 or 300 openings in this company alone, right? There's customer success, data engineering, design, engineering. There's a bunch of positions there in engineering. Finance and legal has so many options available. Director of Treasury, accounts receivable. I don't even know what these things mean, right? GTM is go-to-market. There you have your account managers, onboarding specialists, account executives, brand marketing specialists, so many business development roles available. I know this is across the globe, but most of it is in Chennai. I did check that, right? Content roles, digital marketing roles. There's just so many just under GTM, right? Customer marketing, partner marketing, sales development. If I keep going, sales, there's so many sales jobs. Yeah, there's growth in marketing also. They call it segment marketing. Different companies define that differently. There's HR and facilities, there's IT, and there's a different section of marketing, right? Content, field, illustrator, this comes part of the content. And for new graduates, most of you are freshers, there's always an inside sales role, the sales development role, if you are interested in sales. There are other companies with other roles as well that are open to freshers. Then there's the product function for engineers. There's so many. So that's what I meant. Right? There's the product marketing. There's a separate sales section. So that's what I meant by there's a job out there for everyone. You do not have to worry about that. This is just an example of a company which maybe the industry is alien to you. Maybe the kind of companies coming to your campus are larger companies, are more established, are from the IT services and manufacturing and banking systems. They will have similar roles as well. I just wanted to give you a sense of what's out there, right? Coming back to the presentation. Yeah, so finally, we saw the options that are available out there right now. When you are choosing a company, like I said, more often than not, we're always in a situation where, let's say, a campus placement interview, there's multiple rounds, and it always comes to the company choosing you, right? But I think, like your faculty very validly spoke about in the beginning, I think you need to have that sort of self-awareness in you. You need to understand your self-worth, your priorities, and you should be in a position to choose a company, right? You should be in a position to ask certain questions to see if this company is the right fit for you. And I never did that. When I started off my career, I did not do this, right? I was just happy getting a job, right? But yes, I think you guys are in a much better position these days. You have so much more exposure. You have so much more information accessible to you. I think you guys are in a much, much better position than I was just 10 years back, right? First thing is, obviously, the most important thing you need to look for is the profile of your job, right? What is your role going to be? Now, obviously, there will be a job description. You can look at that. In most companies, that's pretty standard. But what you can also do is during an interview, you should definitely ask the hiring manager, right? So, okay, look, this is what I saw in the job description. I get that. I understand that. But you are hiring for this position. So what do you think? What do you think my KPIs would be? KPIs, key performance indicators, right? What would be my objectives? What would be my day to day? What would it look like? Right? You should ask that question. And then another way of doing this is going to LinkedIn, right? So find people of that company on LinkedIn. It's always a good thing to do. So make good use of LinkedIn. I did mention MS Excel. LinkedIn is another tool which is a very, very powerful tool, especially for people like us who are in the business side of things, right? Sales, marketing, customer success, business development, those kinds of roles. Go to LinkedIn, find people in that company, or even better, find someone who's in that department in which you're applying for a job. Send them a request. Hopefully they'll accept, right? And ask them. So it's a good practice to do that. And people, I mean, you shouldn't hesitate to do that, right? And the next thing is, what is going to be your growth trajectory in that company, right? So you're being hired for a position that's today, right? 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, what is it going to be like, right? It's not just about designations. It's also about your scope of responsibilities, right? Again, you can ask your manager. Again, you can do the LinkedIn thing. It's very, very helpful to do that. I found it helpful to do that. I have people messaging me on LinkedIn, asking about my company, asking about a particular role. People do that, and I'm happy to respond, right? I'm happy to help. And more often than not, people are happy to do that. And then you need to look for financial stability. This is not a problem with the enterprises. Like someone did mention that. It's a completely valid point. You look at an Infosys, you look at an Accenture, you're not really worried if the company will run out of money, right? That's not something you're worried of. But if you're interested in early stage startups, if you find a company really exciting, then you should definitely look for how stable they are financially. You don't want them to sort of run out of business in 2 years and you are out there without a job. You don't want that happening. So there are websites like Crunchbase where you can find out the funding status of that company. You can just Google for that as well. I'll just, in the next slide, I can just quickly show you the Crunchbase website. Then I think it's something that most of us don't really pay a lot of attention to, but it has a lot of impact on the way you perform, on your growth in that particular company, is the history and culture. It's a very subjective term, culture. You can't really measure it, finger on it, but it's very important, right? So some companies, it's pretty clear on the website itself, how the life of employees there, what do they do day to day, what does it look like. You can look through news articles. Did they do a layoff recently? There'll be reviews online. Glassdoor is a very good website to do that. There'll be a lot of anonymous reviews there. I'm not saying you should just go by those reviews. The point I'm trying to make is on Glassdoor, let's say about a company, there are like 50 or 60 reviews. You would see a pattern emerging, right? And that will help you sort of come to a conclusion about the culture in that company, right? So what is your role? What is your progress going to be like in that company? Is that company financially stable? And what is the culture of that company? Does it suit me? So those are the 4 questions you should ask yourself before you choose a company. At least that's what I think, right? I think that's what I think will help you. Right. That is it. This is quickly a couple of screenshots of this. This is the crunchbase.com. I did a quick search of my own company. You can see right here, total funding amount $49.8 million. So there's a good amount of money in the company. So I shouldn't be worried about that, right? Quicko is the name of the entity. Whatfix is the brand name. On Glassdoor, you can see there's about, I don't see the number of, there's about 108 reviews. 4.4 is not a bad average, right? If you scroll down, you would see a lot of reviews there. So that's Crunchbase and Glassdoor. I am sure a lot of you know this. For some people who do not know, just take a look, right? Yeah, we are at the hour. We are at 4:30. I am sorry. I think I just pushed it a little bit. Please do ask questions. Any question you might have. Like I said, there is no stupid question. Again, you can go back to takeaway number 7 for that. Please ask questions. Any question you might have. If I know the answer, I will give it to you right away. If I do not, I will find it and come back to you on email or on LinkedIn or whatever. Please do ask any questions you might have. The floor is open for you guys.
Participants, you may open up for questions.
Yeah, it could be about what I presented right now. It could be about anything else in the same sort of narrative. If you had something else that you thought I didn't talk about, please do ask your questions.
Hi, Darshan. I really wanted to ask you something.
Yeah, sure. May I know who this is? Can you please state your name?
My name is Surya.
Yeah, hi Surya. Tell me.
Yeah. As I would like to know that when we go into a technical job, I know that we go through process training before we start working. So before we get on flow, we have a series of process training. So once we complete our MBA, we all know that we might be in we'll be in the role of managers. Not everyone, even though there'll be. So I would like to know, will we be introduced into some training sessions, or what is the role in the organization, or is it we just have to learn everything by ourselves? I don't know what happens once we become manager or something, because if we get a placement from college or something, so I would really like to know about it.
Is it my network or?
Surya, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Fine. And then Mr. Darshan, like I think you can answer him. Like, hope like he has some network issues. Maybe Surya, you can wait for some time.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
can
we
hear
can-
you now. Now
Am I
your
audible?
voice is not audible. I think you have some network issues.
Yeah, is it better now? Surya, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I'm sorry, you were saying that if it's a technical job, you would have that training, but after MBA, yeah, you were asking that. I'm sorry, I lost you there.
Yeah, I would like to know if we get a role of an HR manager or an operations manager in the placement, we go through
Okay.
any kind of training, or we just have to learn ourselves?
No, there will definitely be a basic level of onboarding program and training programs for you. Uh, the bare minimum of what you need to know to perform your job, that will definitely be there. Beyond that, as you go about it day in day out, you will see some gaps yourself if you do out yourself, asking people how they do it. If maybe there's a course online that will help you learn that particular thing. But to be able to do your job, the basic necessity of your job, you will definitely have a proper onboarding and training program.
All right, I think I got my answer. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Myself,
Yeah.
Vinesh, sir.
Yeah, hi, Vinesh.
Yes, sir. I have a basically common question, sir. That everybody's mind is messing up with that. So I have heard this saying that whatever we are going to learning as in a student life is not going to be applicable in the in our working experience. So what is the I have heard something about the theoretical doesn't matter with the working life. How can you relate with that that saying to the life of
Yeah.
working?
Yeah, look, for example, it's a good question. Look, in theory, for example, let's say during my MBA in marketing, in economics, I learned about demand and supply. In marketing, I learned about the 4 P's of marketing: product, price, place, promotion, uh, a lot of other things, what Maslow's hierarchy. Theory is really good. It gives you sort of context how the larger world operates. But I should also agree that whatever you learn, you cannot just directly apply it to your job, because in the real world things are not ideal, right? Your theory is based on ideal circumstances, ideal situations. It will tell you, okay, if you get your product right, if you get your price right, if you get your place right, if you get your promotion right, you will have a successful business. But is that so easy out there in the real world? It's not, right? There's so many factors that affect these things. So it doesn't go to say that theory is useless. Theory is there. You have to, these concepts sometime or the other will give you like a starting point to approach a problem, even though it won't give you the final solution. For example, let's say I am helping a sales guy with a sales pitch, right? That, let's say, that Maslow's hierarchy of needs of something will give me a starting point to think of what is the customer looking for, right? I have a product. Okay, I am very happy with my product. These are the features, these are the benefits. But is the customer, what is their problem? What are they looking to achieve with my solution? So that whatever concept which I learned during MBA will somewhere give me a starting point to approach that problem. So that's how I've seen it helps. But yeah, there's no right or wrong answer to that question. Theory is there for a reason, right? It will help qualify our interest. It will help it'll give you a context. But yes, you cannot just take your theory and apply it in your job. That doesn't work at all.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir?
Yeah. Yes. Can you people please calling me sir? Stop calling me sir. Please just call me Darshan.
Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? I can hear you.
Danya, your voice is not audible.
Oh, it was not me. Okay. Danya, yeah, wasn't able to hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So actually, I have two questions. The lecture
Yep.
is really great, by the way.
Thanks for
First
that.
one is, you give a lot of importance to sales. So there are many courses to learn sales, but apart from that, in reality, how to learn sales in depth from ground reality, how to learn sales as a student or person, how a person will learn sales. The second one is, you also stated the importance of our dream. Money, we should chase our dreams. Okay, so as a person like me, I have a lot of interest. Like I do law, I do BBA, I do CS course. So I don't have a specific dream to choose. I keep on changing my dream. So how to find our desired dream, like our own platform? How to find that, sir?
Okay, very difficult question. Anyways, I'll try to take a shot at the first one. Sales is something I've done. I mean, even though I'm in proper marketing right now, I've done a bit of sales. I firmly believe you cannot learn sales from the book, right? So that's the answer to the first part of the question. Then you asked, how do you learn, right? How do you learn sales? How do you get good at it? You learn it by doing it day in and day out. You learn it by making mistakes, seeing the impact that it has, and then changing it the next time, right? So coming up with the right pitch, uh, being being very responsive to your prospects, targeting the right audience, not focusing on your solution and focusing on the customer's problem. There are a few things that you learn along the way. This you will never get from your book. You learn by doing it day in and day out, making mistakes. You will learn by looking at other people who do it well, right? So it's like I said, be open to learning from anyone. Look at your peers, look at the better performing people in your organization. Find out some of the things that they do really well, right? It could be one or two things that they do really well. Maybe it could be as simple as if there's a meeting at 7 p.m., they sit for that meeting at 6:30, prepare for every single thing for that meeting. What happened before? What are we going to be discussing during that meeting with the prospect? What sort of questions can I expect from them? Do I have the answers for that questions? If I don't, can I bring in somebody else to assist me during that meeting? And what should be the action items after that meeting? It could be simple things like that, right? That is what is going to have an impact on your overall sales process. So do it yourself, make mistakes and learn from them, and definitely look at people and learn from them. Look at people who do it well and learn from them. I think those are the two things that I've seen that work out really well, right? And for the second question, I honestly don't know the answer to that question. I can totally understand that not all of us wants to, let's say, become a cricket player and then become a cricket player. It's not like that one dream that we have. It's not a movie that we're in. So we have other priorities in life. Dreaming is really easy, right? But following up on something, being lucky enough to get the right opportunities at the right time, and what else? Being able to afford taking risks, because for some people, I can include that myself in that group of people, right? We can have grand dreams, right? But at a certain points in life, let's say you have other financial commitments, you have other responsibilities, you have to support your parents, so you have to stick to a job for longer than you want to, because it pays well. So there's a lot of things that can happen in life, right? So choosing on one dream, I don't know the right answer to that question. So maybe I'll ask someone, or I'll find someone to answer that question for you.
It's okay. So the answer was satisfactory.
Yeah, you're just being kind, but thanks anyways.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Myself, Nadia, sir. Can you hear
Hi
me, sir?
Nadia. I mean, I'd really prefer it if yourself and the others don't call me sir.
Okay.
Fine. Yeah, I can hear you.
I have a question. You have joined a company and raised in the graphical mode, like in the director marketing, and later you joined your friend's startup. For us, if we have the chance of changing up, how do we know that
Yeah.
it is a good point of changing to it? And the startup is an experimental. Like, how can I know that it is a profitable way and does it end up in a loss?
Yeah. So firstly, you need to look at where you are, right? So maybe example, you're in a company, you're doing really well there. You like your job, and you're happy with the money that's being paid. You like the team that you're working with. Your manager is a good manager, and you see uh, a good scope for growth. When I say growth, it's a cliche term, I know. When I say growth, I mean in terms of responsibilities, in terms of designations. I would really suggest, as long as you're happy doing it, you should really, really think hard before you make a change, right? Because with change comes a lot of risk. There's a lot of unknown things. I joined my friend's company because he's my friend, right? So, and he was running that company for 2 years. It was going well as a service company, right? And I knew it because I talk to him often. I meet him pretty much every other weekend. He talks about his company, so I knew what was going on. But when he asked me to join, I should have thought about a lot of other things, right? Which I didn't. So our working relationship wasn't really great because he's my friend. So I did not disagree on a lot of things that I should have disagreed, or he did not disagree with me on a lot of things that he should have disagreed. Right? We always say agree to disagree. If you're always agreeing, then you're not moving forward. So we made that mistake, and that did not really help the company. And I, since it was at a very early stage startup, my skill set was not an exact match. My skill sets were in marketing. Maybe that would have worked if it was like a 6-year-old, 7-year-old when there was some money to invest in different marketing strategies, hire more people, that kind of thing. But at 2 years, it was just not the right fit for me. So, like I said, if you're at a job where you're happy with things, then think really hard before changing. That's all I can say right now. Because you maybe changing it can be good for you, but you would never know that. It's about risk. There's a lot of unknown. So when there's a lot of unknown, I would suggest not taking that risk.
Yes, sir. And I have another question, sir. Like after completing your college and you've joined a company, like you had no interest on the job and you felt like leaving the job and joining other. Like what can be made like learning things when you're not interested? How can it be done when we face the problem?
I'm sorry, I just lost you.
No, sir.
I'm sorry, I just lost you for 1 second there. You said I was in that. Yeah.
Yes, sir. You were working in a company after completing a college, so you had lost interest on the work. Like you just work on for money and lost the working interest. So how can it be gained the interest, and how can we learn things when we lost interest on a particular job when we overworked?
Right. So this is actually my second company, right? This was HICET. So right after college, I was working for 2 years. That was a really good place. But yes, I moved for the money, like I said. So when you're not interested, I think you should always go to your immediate next, the person you're reporting to, and definitely talk to them, right? Because they are the closest ones to you. They know what you're doing day in and day out. They have visibility into the big picture of the company more than you have. You should talk to that. It could be your manager, it could be a director, it could be a VP, it could be anybody. and talk about that, right? So see if whatever you're doing right now, if you're not interested in it, see if there's an opportunity to go do something else in the same company, right? Is there some other function that you're interested in, that you think you would be interested in? Or in your team itself, is there something else you can contribute to, right? So I think your immediate supervisor will be able to help with that. Is there really opportunity for you to do something else in the same company? If that's not there, then I think, yes, you should look for a change.
Yes.
How to get interested in something when you're not interested? I don't know. If you're not interested in something, I think you're just not interested.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the answer.
Yep. Thank you. No problem.
Darshan, I do have one more doubt to clarify, which I haven't got an answer for a long time.
I mean, like today you asked already and you didn't answer, or for a long time?
No, actually, I didn't get an answer for this. I was thinking it for myself only. Like if we get enrolled into an organization and you forecast a long term, you have the long term growth inside the organization itself, even though not annually. When forecasting for a long time, you have a growth over there, and you work there for 1 year, and the next year for the same position, you get a call from another company for a salary which is a bit more higher. So in such a situation, should I focus my growth within the organization I stay, or should I jump onto the next organization just for the sake of salary? I really wanted an answer for this.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've done that. I mean, I know it's tempting, right? So when you're in a company for let's say a year, that novelty factor is gone, that excitement is gone. You're doing things day in and day out. Maybe the previous year your appraisal wasn't as great as you had expected to, because I mean, honestly, let's be honest, we'll never be happy with our appraisals, right? Unless it's something out of the world. So yeah, when that kind of a situation, when there's another company coming in, you get an offer there, which is where the money. I know it can be tempting, but again, it's not really black and white. You need to somehow find a balance there. You need to, again, I don't know if this is really a very happy answer for you. You need.
Yeah, kind of satisfactory, because I have seen people saying to me that jumping from organization to organization won't do any good in your career. That it would be better to forecast a long-term growth.
Yeah,
so
it will.
Yeah,
at some point it will have an impact, right? Let's say you work for 5 years and you work for 3 or 4 companies, right? And the 5th company you're joining, that question will definitely come up, right? So look, you've been working for 5 years, and why have you switched to 3 or 4 companies already? What if you do that with me as well? What if you leave after 1 year? Because for companies, it's never personal, right? When someone is hiring for a position, all they're looking for is, how can I get the most returns for the least cost? That's all their objective is, right? They look at you as a resource to do a certain job. They have a certain budget for that job position, and all they will calculate is, for this job role, I have this much money, and what is going to be my return? So if you are going to be someone who is just going to be leaving after a year, for them to find a replacement is really, really expensive. There's some interesting research around this. Training someone in the existing company to do something new versus finding a replacement for an existing employee, right? The latter, finding a replacement for someone who is leaving, is really, really expensive for a company in terms of time, in terms of effort from people, in terms of the money that they're spending. It's very, very expensive. So that's why companies sometimes ask, about loyalty. I mean, I don't really completely agree with that term, loyalty. But yeah, companies do tend to look at that. So when you're in a company and you have another offer, do really look at your company first. Give preference to your existing company. Again, go talk. That's where again I went back to that point, right? If you have a good manager, then you're in really good hands. You can go and talk to them, be honest about it, and ask them about what's coming next, what's the position, what are the plans. So definitely give preference to your existing company. If you don't find the answers, then you can definitely think about if the money is good, you should definitely think about moving. Yeah, I can be bold enough to say that. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Darshan, for that.
Yep.
Any more questions? And it was really good to have you, Darshan. Like the session was really good, and the tips which you shared, like what students have to build on, like what do they expect in a job, or what all they should have. Like they should be good in Excel, or they should be good at marketing. Everything is really good. I hope like students have gained insights. Thanks a lot for being here and sharing your thoughts about like from the classroom to a career. Right? Like I hope like our students get in touch through your LinkedIn or the mail which you're sharing now. Thanks for being with us. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope this past 1 hour was a bit useful for you guys. I hope I did justice for the time you spent here. Thank you for joining today. I had a lot of fun doing this today, even preparing for this. So yeah, I'm hoping it was the same for you guys as well. Like I said, I was not really here to give you like 10 tips on a perfect career, because a perfect career can mean different things to different people. I just want to share my story, and hopefully, like I said, if right now if there's just one thing, one idea that's sticking with you that you think can be helpful for you, then I'm really glad I was able to do that. Any more questions? Not just questions, right? It's not like you have all the questions and I have all the answers. Any comments you have, anything you want to discuss, could be professional, could be football, could be movies, whatever you want to talk about, especially from a career perspective. Do get in touch. That's my LinkedIn profile. That's my email ID. Yeah, even Ms. Kanimuri and even Vinish, I think they have my phone numbers as well. Yeah, do get in touch. I'd love to have a conversation. Thank you so much, guys.
If possible, like you can post your LinkedIn in the chat, like maybe like those are interested, they can get in touch.
Let me do that right now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. It was great talking to you today.
I hope like no more questions. Like we'll end up here. Thank you for being with us. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Have a good day. Take care.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Bye-bye.